Okay, be honest with me for a second. Did you actually make all your own decisions today? Or did someone, or maybe something, gently tug at a few invisible strings to make you think you did? Did you purposefully choose to click on this explainer, or did a background algorithm quietly nudge you right here? Well, welcome to The Explainer, where we take fascinating research and turn it into clear visual guides. Today, we are pulling back the curtain and unmasking the hidden architecture of psychological manipulation.
So are your decisions truly yours? We usually think of manipulation as this exaggerated movie villain behavior. We picture scheming masterminds plotting in the shadows. But the unsettling reality, it's much, much closer to home. These invisible strings are constantly being pulled in our most intimate relationships, in the everyday power dynamics of our workplaces, and right on the glowing screens we literally stare into every single day.
And just to show you how systemic and widespread this hidden influence really is, let's look at a pretty jarring statistic from the Bay Area CBT Center. 5%. That means 5 out of every 100 CEOs exhibit psychopathic traits. It proves that this kind of manipulative behavior isn't just some rare anomaly. It is actively existing and operating at the absolute highest levels of our society. These traits are literally setting the culture for the companies we work for and the systems we interact with on a daily basis. Section 1. Inside the manipulator's mind. To truly understand how we're being controlled, we first need to look at exactly who is doing the controlling. When researchers map out the dark triad personality traits, which essentially encompass psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism, against a person's absolute willingness to intentionally manipulate you, the correlations are honestly staggering. Just look at psychopathy. It has a massive 0.806 correlation. Machiavellianism is right behind it at 0.779. So what does this actually tell us? It means that people with these specific personality traits are not just passively capable of emotional manipulation, they are fundamentally highly willing to use your emotions to their advantage. They want to do it. Psychology author George K. Simon really hits the nail on the head here. He points out that successful manipulation primarily involves concealing aggressive intentions and knowing the psychological vulnerabilities of the victim. Basically, a master manipulator is ruthlessly affable. They map out your exact emotional weak spots while hiding behind a perfectly friendly, perfectly approachable smile. They don't attack your strengths right away. Instead, they quietly document your insecurities to use as leverage later on.
So, let me ask you, think of a time when someone's quote-unquote kindness felt a little bit like a trap. Looking back, were they concealing their true intentions? Drop a comment below with your experience. Because getting actively analytical about your own past relationships through the lens of this academic data, well, that's the very first step to breaking those strings.
Section 2. 5 Tactics of Control. Now that we know their mindset, let's break down their actual playbook. These 5 tactics, which are highlighted by clinical therapists, are devastatingly effective precisely because they are specifically designed to hijack your normal, healthy human emotions. Tactic number 1 is gaslighting. This is a tactic designed to make the victim doubt their own reality, their memories, or their judgment through just persistent lying and denial of events. It creates this deeply disorienting psychological fog that severely diminishes your self-esteem and your basic trust in your own mind.
You will often hear phrases exactly like this. "I never said that. You're remembering it wrong." Our sources even point out the manipulators will go as far as hiding physical objects just to distort the truth. The entire goal here is to create an absolute imbalance of power. They want you to feel entirely unmoored, forcing you to rely completely on their version of reality just to function day to day.
Moving on to tactic number 2, the silent treatment. This is deliberately withdrawing all communication as a strategic way to punish you or force you to comply. And a crucial point here is distinguishing this malicious tactic from someone simply needing a little space to cool down after an argument. The silent treatment isn't a break, it's a weapon. It's designed to train you to never ever challenge them again. It literally looks exactly like this absolute radio silence while they are standing right next to you. And here is why this works so devastatingly well on us. As human beings, we are social creatures. We're biologically wired to fear rejection and abandonment. So, when faced with this deliberate, punishing silence, our panicked brains go into total overdrive. We start apologizing for things we didn't even do, frantically trying to bridge the gap just to restore that vital human connection. Let's pause for a quick second. Drop a mental note right now, or a comment below, if you have ever apologized just to end a punishing silence. It's an incredibly common trap, and identifying if you've ever caved to this specific, deeply uncomfortable form of emotional control is vital for building up your defenses. Tactic number 3 is guilt tripping. This means making the victim question themselves and feel entirely responsible for the manipulator's actions or happiness. Guilt is honestly one of the most powerful leverage points in the manipulator's entire playbook, because guilt effectively makes you do all the heavy lifting. You end up policing your own behavior, and the manipulator gets to sit back, play the victim, and watch you endlessly punish yourself.
They might hit you with the line just like this: "You're selfish. I do so much for you, and you don't even care." This exact quote from our research beautifully illustrates how a manipulator weaponizes your sense of obligation. They use it to destabilize you, putting you immediately on the defensive so they can steer any argument entirely in their favor.
Next up is tactic number 4, love bombing. This involves overwhelming someone with extreme affection and praise really early on just to get them hooked, only to abruptly withdraw it. It's a cruel, highly calculated cycle. The initial kindness was never actually real. It was just a hook. A major red flag to look out for is when someone accelerates the intimacy of a relationship far faster than what feels natural, only to suddenly turn emotionally cold once they know you're invested.
And finally, tactic number 5, isolation. This means planting subtle little seeds of doubt about your friends and family to sever your support network. You can really think of this as the dangerous final level of control. The manipulator will subtly critique your loved ones until they have you completely alone, wholly dependent on them, and totally isolated from reality.
Section 3. The Digital Puppet Master.
But human-to-human control is just one part of the story, right? In the digital realm, tech platforms and advanced algorithms are scaling these exact same psychological hooks using something called reinforcement learning. Think of the algorithm as an agent that continuously tests actions against you, like tweaking your feed or pushing a specific notification. It then monitors your reactions and updates its model based on your behavior. You are quite literally the environment it is continuously modifying and experimenting on.
And this brilliantly illustrates a rather chilling endgame. As AI researcher Stuart Russell notes, the solution is to change the user's preferences so that they become more predictable. Recommendation algorithms don't just predict what you want to see, they actually subtly modify your mental state, your emotions, your mood, just to ensure their predictions actually come true. They are pulling your strings.
So, have you noticed your social feeds acting a little too predictably lately? Raise your hand in the comments if you've ever felt manipulated by your devices. It is happening constantly in the background of our lives, and reflecting on how often these digital environments successfully modify our behavior is incredibly important for taking back control.
Section 4. Shielding your mind. So how do we actually fight back against both human and digital string pullers? Well, for human interaction, it starts with the highly effective BIF communication strategy. When you're provoked by a manipulator, keep your response brief, informative, friendly, and firm. BIF. Staying completely emotionally neutral starves the manipulator of the very reaction they are fishing for. You give them absolutely no extra information and zero emotional hooks to exploit. Ultimately, the greatest defense against the confusing, disorienting fog of a manipulator is a heavy anchor, and that's your internal reality. You build this by unconditionally trusting your own bodily signals, your core values, and your personal perceptions. When your internal anchor is that strong, their attempts to distort your reality will simply bounce right off. So, which of these defense tactics are you going to try tomorrow? Whether it's setting a firm BIF boundary via text or just choosing to trust your gut a little more, let me know in the comments below. I really want you to start cutting these invisible strings today. And if you want to keep mastering your mind and uncovering the hidden mechanics of our world, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, stay sharp